Outlaw Sports is brought to you by Molson Canadian, made from Canada, and Rocky Mountain Barbecue, Alberta barbecue cuisine at its best. The St. Louis Blues have made the coaching change, and
don't you mean Columbus Blue Jackets?
no, that's what I thought it was going to say.
Columbus? Oh, it was the Blues.
Yeah, it was the St. Louis Blues. See, that's what happens when you watch one NFL game. Your mind can't do two leagues at once. Davis Payne is out. Ken Hitchcock is back in. I thought Ken Hitchcock was going to sign with Columbus because he's still under contract there.
Right.
But those guys are dragging their ass.
And they lost 9-2 to the Philadelphia Flyers on the weekend. Everybody thought that Ken Hitchcock was going to replace Scott Arniel. As you say, he's under contract. He was in Columbus or nearby.
Yep. Well, he lives there.
He lives there.
Yeah.
So I guess he found out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, was it yesterday or something like that, and he was on the road by 6:30.
Yeah.
A shocker. St. Louis, I think the record was 6-7 before they made the coaching change. It caught everybody by surprise. They're a team that I thought was up and coming.
Same.
Much like the Flames, maybe a little bit better with a little bit more younger skill.
Sure.
Yaroslav Halak, though, the goalie they traded with Montreal for before last season, has not been playing very well. So that'll be interesting to see. But that caught everybody off guard.
Here's where I think he'll improve, because in Montreal, when he was there, they played more of a defensive game. St. Louis does it, and they don't. And I think Hitchcock will put that defensive style back in there. Halak will have, I think he'll come back and be the goalie he was more similar to Montreal than he has been in St. Louis.
Can't argue with you on that one. Yeah. Interesting how we think that a defensive first system will work in St. Louis, but we're bitching about it here in Calgary.
We don't have to watch it.
We're complaining about it and not inspiring players in Calgary. It's amazing how we think sometimes. But it was a shocker. Ken Hitchcock has short-term success with teams. He's had it around the NHL. He's won a Stanley Cup with the Dallas Stars. Then he was let go. Pretty good in Philly, and he's been around. So I think he'll have short-term success and at least get the Blues into the playoffs, but it caught everybody by surprise. Now we're waiting for a coaching change in Columbus with Scott Arniel. Maybe a GM change.
Funny you mention that, Grant, because if you look back at time when certain players, for example, and I'll give you a prime example, was Pete Peters. Remember how many teams he bounced around? And the first year, he was sensational. Second year, okay. Third year, crap the bed. Gone. You know, you just saw that with players that went around, and certain coaches are like that too.
Yeah, sometimes where you are, but I think Ken Hitchcock wears out his welcome sometimes. It's his style, it's his personality. I think he would have loved to stay in those places and not move on, where I think he just pisses people off. His defensive style is not fun to play with, I guess, over a long period of time. Short-term success. To me, Ken Hitchcock would be your great or associate coach, I guess they call him right now, your X and O's guy, just like Dave King was in Phoenix and was. You need a good guy like that. A head coach has to be like in football
and Olympics.
And Olympics. Oh, Olympics is his prime example.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, Pat Quinn was #1, or Mark Crawford. But there's Hitchcock, you know, telling them what they should do, but not having to address the media, not having to babysit the players, not a facilitator, just an X and O's guy. Like in football, head coaches, you know, facilitate, your coordinators, get the job done, and the head coach. So to me, Ken Hitchcock is not a long-term head coach.
He's an offensive coordinator.
He's an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, okay.
In hockey.
Tired of going to redneck barbecues? Well, you better call Rocky Mountain Barbecue. Alberta barbecue cuisine at its best. Great tasting food, clean and efficient service. Check us out online or call Rocky Mountain Barbecue.